This is Motorsport Radio. Join the conversation. Contact the show on Twitter, on Facebook, and on our website, Motorsport Radio.
Hello, good evening, and welcome. The Superbike show is here, and we are live. My name is Lester. On the show tonight, we've got a lot to talk about. BSB final at Brands Hatch. What is going to happen? It's all going to start kicking off, according to J King. It's going to get real spicy, like a Spanish sausage. Anyway, Lewis Ray's here on the show tonight. Hello, good evening, Lewis. He's already had one beer, which is not allowed.
Well, I'm Scottish, so it is allowed up here. Yeah, but yeah, I'm doing good, Lester. How are you tonight?
I'm all right. Yeah, not bad. I think I'm not bad. I don't know. Not too sure. Jay King back on the show again, and he's eating a flapjack. He's just been on a 5k run. Feeling all right, Jay?
Yeah, lovely. All relaxed and chilled after a nice busy weekend. I'm glad we finished on Saturday instead of Sunday. And even though there was no racing this weekend, there's still plenty to talk about this evening.
There is racing this weekend, but maybe you won't be racing. But I don't know. But yeah. We were in Wigan for the first time in ever, I think. Fab Racing live finale on Motorsport Radio. We streamed the whole thing live from Three Sisters kart track, and it was a brilliant end to the Fab Racing season finale. We'll probably bring some highlights of what happened, including some controversial action, including a very thrilling end to the Mini F1 sidecars. Yeah, it's not often the Mini F1 sidecars ends up looking more like a BSB race with that much controversy and drama.
It was like Glenn and Tommy, wasn't it, that last round?
There were a few fisticuffs exchanged, I believe. But all very dramatic. And, did you enjoy the weekend, Lewis, commentating?
Yeah, I did. It was a lovely weekend, some great racing, and a circuit which I hope remains on the calendar for next season because it was a great addition.
What do you reckon of it, Jay? Well, you were doing all right with your... was it your new engine that you had?
Well, it was new at Wilton Mills, but yeah, it was still in reasonably good condition. And the engine was quick. And you needed it at that track because it was an extremely quick track. Bit gutted I didn't win in that last race, but we just got pushed out on the last lap. But the racing was absolutely awesome. I knew that track would make for good racing because with those really fast straights and corners, you could never really get away. You were always caught in the battle. So without not just the pit bike class, all the classes, there were brilliant races in all of them. So yeah, fingers crossed we'll be back there next season. We hopefully put a good impression of a championship on the track, and hopefully they invite us back for next season.
Who knows? Check out fab-racing.co.uk if you're interested in getting involved and joining the next generation of BSB stars and champions on the road to MotoGP. It is the feeder series, the unofficial feeder series to the British Talent Cup and the Red Bull Rookies Cup. Why do we say that? Well, because just check out all the people who've come from the UK into the Red Bull Rookies. They're all from Fab Racing. Evan Belford and Sullivan Mounsey progressing this season into the Red Bull Rookies. We'll talk about more about them a bit later. But first, Lewis, the headlines. What's been going on?
Well, in the past week, the biggest headlines are obviously from the MotoGP paddock, with Marc Marquez finally announcing that he will leave Honda at the end of the season, and he's also called an exceptional press conference on Thursday at Indonesia as well, and on a different bike, and next year as well in MotoGP, Pedro Acosta, he'll be moving up to the class at the Gas team, and he'll also be replacing Paul Espargaro, so Espargaro is now no longer without a ride for next season. Michele Pirro, Ducati's test rider, he's been injured at the weekend racing the CIV. Ducati no longer have a test rider there to be able to replace riders. Talking about riders that may need replaced, Marco Bezzecchi, he's broke his collarbone at the VR46 ranch while training. And as well, Dow Racing in BSB, they're going to have an announcement tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. like usual, to announce a rider for next season. And BSB, as we said, goes to Brands Hatch this weekend with a 7.5 lead, with Tommy Bardwell leading the way, with the PBM boys looking to duke it out, with multiple riders still in contention for the championship this year. So, yeah, it's going to be an exciting weekend, plenty of racing on, and, well, luckily they don't clash together with MotoGP being in the middle of the night once again.
Get your bets in for who you think will be the Dow Racing announcement on that bike for next year. Will it be Danny Buchan or will it be Banny Ducken? Get your answers into us. Use the comments box in the comments box below, or the fans and Facebook, BSB fans Facebook group on the hello anyway if you tuned in. Regardless, because we're live this evening, you can join in on the conversation. Let us know how right or wrong we are about various subjects. Maybe it might not be Danny Buchan, maybe it's going to be someone else, but all the good money in betting terms is that it's going to be Danny Buchan, and that's
there's a small, I don't know if have announced it, Braden Elliott. He could potentially be going to Superbike session. I don't know if it is announced or not, or maybe I've just, but it sounds like anyway, it's Danny Buchan or Braden Elliott anyway, the announcement, but Buchan probably most likely.
Yeah. So we'll just wait for that to unfold, I suppose. A lot to unpack and go through and discuss as well, and as well as the Junior GP and European Talent Cup happened at the weekend. Some of the British representation in action as well. There was did Evan Belford actually qualify for the final?
No,
he didn't. Okay, but he was there.
It was their race, and then he didn't finish high enough in the last chance race. But Emmanuel Brinton, he did qualify for the European Talent Cup race. Yep,
and Eddie O'Shea didn't actually manage to catch up with the actual racing yet, but I hear it was quite good.
Yes.
Yeah. Kiko Giles, the Breakfast Show host, co-host, was on commentary as along with Mr. Tristan. Yeah, Tristan Finocchiaro as well, who I think is at BSB this weekend. I'm not too sure. I can't remember who's on commentary this weekend for BSB. What channel is it on? Eurosport, obviously. Or Quest or Discovery Plus. Anyway,
it will also be on BN Sport this weekend as well abroad. I'd seen it today that it got announced that BN Sport will be showing the final round of BSB for Indonesia. So if you're a British fan at the MotoGP round, you can still watch British Superbikes this weekend at Brands Hatch.
How convenient.
Yeah. Well, that's nice. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. So anyway, Tommy Bridewell, BSB then, Jay, he's leading the championship by 7.5 points. Let's just remember, because we've been racing since, and it was like over a week since we were at Donington Park. They had the team, anyway, PBM team, had a pretty disastrous round. It was their most disastrous round, I think, in a long, long, long time, and it came at the most pressured time of the season as well. Neither championship contender failed to score in race number 1. Race number 2, Tommy Bridewell had an incident which unfortunately took out Glenn Irwin. Glenn Irwin wasn't best pleased at that. And I forgot where he finished in race 3, Tommy Bridewell. Did he finish?
Yeah.
I think it was about 8th, wasn't it?
Oh, he had a problem, didn't he?
He scored 8 points. The team scored 8 points across both riders throughout the whole weekend, and that was just from Tommy Bridewell in race 3.
Yeah. So, pretty disastrous Donington, which, for us fans, makes it even more juicy a prospect coming into the final round. Everyone's already talking about it being one of the most iconic, it's set to be one of the most classic final rounds in BSB history. What do you reckon, Lewis?
Yeah, it's set to be one of those rounds that I think it's one of those seasons actually that we're going to remember for a long, long time. I mean, Donington Park, even actually Alton Park with the safety car incident as well. That was just kind of the start of all this, and now we're heading to the final round. It's going to be so dramatic. I honestly can't wait. I can't predict on who's going to win at the moment. With 35 points up for grabs in every single race as well, keep in mind, at this final round. For the first time ever, there's a lot on the line for these riders. So it's going to be interesting to see how they handle the pressure. 105 points still up for grabs altogether. And keep in mind, we're talking about all the PBM boys, but then you have Kyle Wright. He's only 35 points behind. So, for example, if we have another race where the PBM boys failed to score, that's Kyle Wright tied on championship points. So, it's very possible. Going to be. Yeah, it's honestly, I don't think this is just going to be a 2-horse race going into the final round. I think we're definitely going to see some surprises. Haslam, who knows, he could be, he's already fighting for the championship and he's yet to score a race win this season. I mean, what a statistic that would be if he managed to pull off the title without even getting a race win, if it was just from the PBM boys tripping each other up. So, it's going to be an interesting round. Tommy Bridewell and Glenn Irwin, I don't know how much they like each other. It seems like the past 2 weekends anyway, they've been obviously not happy at the circuit with each other, and then afterwards they've been like, it's all sorted now, it's fine, we both forget about it, we both forgive each other. But then, for example, and then you go to the next round and then they fall out all over again. So tensions are clearly high. You can understand why, but hopefully obviously they want to win, but hopefully PBM can still pull off a 1-2 in the championship, because it'd be pretty special with all the circumstances this season. Mind games already, Jay, in full flow, and a lot of people think potentially, Glenn Irwin's already been rattled at Donington. We saw him lose his cool. And we saw Tommy Bridewell as well in the past. He has been, he admits himself, he does get very emotional. He wears his heart on his sleeve. Might we just see the final come down to whoever can keep their head the most? Yeah, definitely. I think maybe Glenn is a bit more mentally, shall we say, tougher, I would say, than Tommy. Tommy definitely seems to maybe make the odd more mistake than Glenn under the pressure. But Tommy is extremely fast round Brands Hatch. I think a couple of years ago when Taron won the championship and he won all 3 races, Tommy was the only one that could go with Taron in all 3 races. So Tommy definitely, I think, has the advantage of Brands is a bit of a more favourable track for him. But like I said, I think Glenn's going to go into this maybe because he's got that 7-point disadvantage, maybe with a bit more of a mindset of, well, I've got nothing to lose, even though 7 points is tiny, especially with these extra points. I don't think you can call it at the moment. And as Lewis says, Kyle Wright and Leon Haslam are far from out of it either. These two have another coming together, and then you've got Leon Haslam and Kyle Wright, who are literally dead level again. So, I've looked at early weather forecasts on Saturday and Sunday. Even though it does look like it's going to be cold around like the 13, 14 degrees, it does look like it's going to be sunny Saturday and Sunday. So it does mean that we're going to get some proper racing. There's going to be, hopefully, none of this tyre choice decisions. It's going to be both or all 4 guys going out for it and seeing who's the quickest on track and who can get to that start and finish line first. So, it's going to be tough. So I can't call it at the moment at all. We're just going to have to see. I think qualifying is going to be a big gauge to see who's on top, and then we'll have to just go from there. Well, I'm sure I'll give you a few more minutes to think about it, because I will be asking you to call it later on with some predictions. Entry list has been released today, and a couple of interesting new names on there, or returning names back to BSB. Anyway, Sean Winfield returning back to BSB on a Pathways Tag Racing Honda, and Fraser Rogers as well. Good to see him back. Yeah, great to see Fraser Rogers back. It was only announced something like an hour ago. So I've seen that on the garage allocations anyway, that the competition Aprilia had a pathway entry, but I just assumed in my head that it would have been Lewis Rollo, because obviously Scottish and coming off his podium at Donington Park. But yeah, great to see Fraser get the call up. It's going to be interesting to see how he adapts to the pathway bike. The Aprilia, speaking to some people like Lewis Rollo actually in competition Aprilia team, they think the pathway machine is going to suit the Aprilia far better. It is a 1100cc, but they'll be able to change their engine positions and change the swing arm a little bit more. So yeah, they should adapt it far better than what it does in Superstock. And they already use the Motec ECU in the Superstock Championship at the moment on the Aprilia. So they're not having to change that to go to BSB. So it is almost like the same bike that they're riding, just develop the electronics and change a few things which should help them ride it and it should help them be more competitive up the field, because we have seen last round how competitive the pathway bikes actually are.
Yeah, in the right conditions. I think in the rain or the greasy conditions when everyone else was going insane, Franco Born finished in the top 6 in one of the races, didn't he? So I
still think even in the dry, you could potentially see a pathway bike fighting for the points, fighting for that top 15 position, because at Donington Park in the in the dry conditions, like it was on the Friday, where it was actually sunny, which we never got for the rest of the weekend. Alex Olsen, he was P19, which I don't think is too bad. So all that takes is a couple of people crashing out in front of you, and then could potentially be near points at least on a pathway machine. So it's going to be interesting to see how it is anyway, because P19 anyway, in combined practice in the dry conditions at Donington Park, you're still beating 8 BSB spec bikes, which cost a hell of a lot more money than what the pathway machines do.
Yeah, be interesting to see how Fraser gets on. What do you reckon about Fraser Rogers and Sean Winfield in BSBJ on the pathways bikes?
Yeah, we forget to mention there's another 2 Fab riders as well that have gone on the grid. Both of them, maybe you two will be a bit. You weren't in Fab back then, but them two both did come from Fab. Yeah, it's going to be good to see. Both of them have ridden BSB before. So, yeah, as we saw with Franco Born, the Honda did really well at Donington. So, yeah, it would be good to see Sean there. And obviously the Aprilia, in my eyes, one of the best sounding bikes in the BSB paddock. So it's going to be great to hear that in the BSB class again. And someone might have to dig back, but when was the last time we saw an Aprilia on a BSB grid? So I bet that was a fair while ago. They definitely haven't been very competitive on the BSB grid. I think they used to be in the old-fashioned Evo class many years ago. But it's going to be good to hear that Aprilia out with the rest of the British Superbikes. Yeah,
if you do know when the last time that was, then get in touch.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah, hello to Rod, by the way. Good evening, Rod. Tuned in and says hello. By the way, just answering my own question as well from earlier, and I know just to stop, because someone's going to post on the BSB fan support class group at some point, what channel is it on this weekend, as though there's like a million different choices to choose from. Well, Saturday from midday, it is on Eurosport 2 till 5:30. It is also on Discovery Plus as well, the whole feed. That's on Saturday. And then Saturday night, you've got the highlights. On Sunday, 10:20 on Discovery Plus and midday on Eurosport 2. And then you've got the highlights later that evening and for the rest of the week. And on something called Discovery Turbo, highlights, all the rest of the yada, yada, yada. And you did mention as well, it's on BN Sports in Indonesia, in case you happen to be in Indonesia.
In case you're at the MotoGP round.
Yeah, of course. Go to MotoGP and watch BSB. Why not? That's the sort of thing you do, to be honest, though, Lewis, isn't it? So.
Well, yeah, you wouldn't anything. You wouldn't miss this final round for anything.
No, exactly. silly season. It's that time of year. Well, it's a little bit late for silly season. We've been enthralled by actual silly season, real season, which has been quite silly. What rumours are in BSB at the moment, Lewis?
Well, first of all, before we quickly get into that, the last time an Aprilia was on a BSB grid was 2012. Was the last time the Aprilia was on the grid, and that was still with the 1000, not the 1100. So, yeah. And Troy Herfoss was also riding it, and he's a multiple-time Australian Superbike champion as well. But there's also been the MV Agusta on the British Superbike grid, more recent than what there's been in the Aprilia with MV Agusta in the 2015 championship. So it's been a long time anyway since the Aprilia was on the British Superbike grid anyway, that's for sure. But yeah, there's plenty of rumours flying about the British Superbike paddock. Obviously, Danny Buchan sounds like he's going to go to Dow for next season. And then obviously the rumour with Spain as an opening round for next year, whether you like it or not. It sounds
I don't think that's a rumour, to be honest. That's pretty much nailed on. I would say that's about a 90%.
Yeah, unless there's something major changes in the world, I think we're definitely going to be at Navarra. And then what else is there? For next season as well, we have the introduction of the class, of the Pathway machines and the Sportbike Championship. Plenty of riders. Sounds like, well, actually, I did hear from some riders looking for some of their social medias, what they've been talking about this new Sportbike Championship. It sounds like a lot of people don't know what they're going to be doing next season and can't decide because they still think the Sportbike Championship, that there's not enough regulations for them to actually make a decision as of yet on what bike to buy, what class to go into, and how the regulations are actually going to work. And there's also some riders next year, some junior super sport riders that are planning on going back down to Bemsey for a season and then coming back up to BSB the year after once everything had settled down.
Once they know what's what.
Yeah, once everyone knows what's what everyone knows what to spend your money on, what not to buy. Because we could have a bike next year in Sportbike Championship that could be far, far better. I also seen some, I don't know if it's rumours or people just talking a load of rubbish online about Bradley Ray, about talks of Bradley Ray coming back to
the Shaky Burden team.
Yeah, the Shaky Burden team. Yeah, exactly, those rumours. But I find it very hard to believe that Bradley Ray would want to come back to BSB at the moment.
Why would he? Why?
Exactly.
I can probably, it's probably more realistic if Shane was to get involved in some sort of thing like team ownership or team sponsorship or team management at World Superbike level. I could see that. But why BSB? I mean, yeah. But not
maybe he's got to do a year of BSB first before, kind of like a start-up year before he's got the confidence to go all the way to World Superbikes. You don't know. But yeah, I would agree. You would have thought he'd want to go straight to World Superbikes before.
Yeah, if he's going to do anything like that.
I don't think Brad would want to take a back step either, even though he only does the European rounds at the moment.
Whoa. BSB is not a back step. It's the world's premier domestic motorcycle racing competition. World Superbikes struggles to get the fans that BSB has, but I know what you mean.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think, Brad would like to stay in World Superbikes and say even I know him and Tara, and they're both not on the best bikes at the world level, but they both want to stay where they are at the moment. I would see more of it Taron coming back than Brad, to be honest with you. Not just yet. I mean, he's made such a big deal of staying with that Honda and developing and seeing it through. So you have to sort of think, well, he's sticking with them, really. Got to give it another year. Yeah, might as well. After that win he got in those tricky conditions. He did Moss, actually do that. It hasn't really kicked on, has it? It's actually gone a bit further backwards, to be honest with you. Well, yeah, he did have the one redeeming, shining feature of the season, and even if that was definitely not expected, so even if he ends the season just with that in his pocket, he'll probably think,
that's a lot better than what I was expecting, to be honest, at the start of the season.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I think that's probably with the rumour about Brad Ray and Shane Byrne in a team together in BSB. That's probably just come from the fact that Shane Byrne is Brad Ray's manager, and people putting two and two together. But I can definitely see there's a bit more merit, possibly, and I don't know anything, as you know. But if Shane Byrne is going to do anything, I would be highly doubtful that it would involve Brad Ray initially, and probably almost definitely not in BSB initially. That's my take on things. But
there's still quite a few rides in BSB, apart from taking away a new team that might be coming with Shaky. There's still quite a few rides that need to be finalised in BSB yet, and they're kind of going a bit under the radar at the moment. We've got, obviously, with Danny Buchan leaving Cinetic BMW, who's going to go there now? Honda have had a couple of disappointing seasons, shall we say, in BSB. Obviously, Andy Irwin has been injured most of it, but are they going to have two new riders this year? So, there's quite a few rides in BSB that the spaces need to be filled.
We still don't know as well who FPBM are also going to be continuing next season either.
Well, Jordan Bird was on the Chasing the Racing podcast.
Yes, on the Chasing the Racing podcast. I haven't listened to it yet, so
I haven't listened
I can't comment.
Sorry.
I can't comment on what she's said, if she's carrying on the team or.
But if anyone has watched it or listened to it, and you did manage to get some, whatever she said from it, one would imagine she'd try and keep the team going, obviously, for obvious reasons, to continue Paul's legacy. But I don't know, because, we've been busy doing other stuff, racing and stuff.
And obviously, OMG, the new factory Yamaha team in BSB, shall we say. OMG. But will there be another Yamaha team coming as well? So we don't know, to take over from McCann's. So that'd be interesting to see.
Maybe I can see where maybe, I don't know. It'd be a shame if BSB... I wonder who's
going to buy all their hospitality.
Well, I mean...
You would have thought OMG would now, wouldn't you? Just take it all on.
Probably. I mean, how long are they going to stick with their tent that they've got?
Yeah, have you seen the size of OMG's hospitality in the paddock at the moment?
Yeah, they share it with FS3, I think, don't they? They kind of split it in half, don't they?
Yeah.
The bouncy castle.
Yeah.
You said that, not me. Initially, very impressive looking thing, but I feel sorry for the guy that has to blow that up.
Yeah, apparently someone comes on Tuesday to set it up, and it's held down by a lot of sandbags, let's just say.
Oh, well.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to be in that with a windy day, would you?
No, you'd be saying, OMG, this thing's blowing away. Anyway, but yeah, a lot to be decided in terms of... so the big rides then, obviously PBM, won't they stick around? We've not seen the Chasing the Racing podcast, so we don't know what Jordan said on that. I'm
going to listen to it tonight after the show. Okay.
But yeah, what about people coming into BSB? Would Ben Curry, I can see him doing something. Is he?
It depends if Oxford Products want to keep Christian Iden, don't it? So he's not had the most impressive season. He's had quite a few podiums in this second half of the season, but
that's pretty impressive.
It'd be interesting to see Ben Curry gets the ride, or maybe they put two bikes on the grid.
He struggled really in the first half of the year for Christian Iden, but it's certainly picked up anyway over the last couple of rounds. But certainly the first half of the season, up to maybe Brands or Fruxton, it's definitely been a struggle to adapt to the Oxford Products bike. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if Ben Curry's going to step up. I think the BSB grid anyway next year, it's going to be massive with every single grid next year. It's going to be pretty big. In the BSB class, we have the path. Well, the new class is up for debate, but the pathway bikes are obviously coming in next year for a start. pathway class. So that's just going to expand the BSB grid more and more. The junior superstock riders, are they going to go to Supersport, or are some of them that's maybe not ready for a step up going to go to the sport bike? And then the ones that feel like they are ready just to do a full jump, they might even jump to stock 1000, so that will replace the stock 1000 riders, which are going to go to the pathway machines as well. So yeah, I don't know what numbers are going to be like yet at all. I have not really heard that many people. I've heard more interest anyway from the Sport Bike Championship than what have the Super Team Championship next year.
A lot of people seem to be very reluctant to even say that they're getting involved. We had Harrison Desoy on last week. I think he was one of the only few that I've seen who actually said, yeah, I'm going to be in this next season, but I'm not telling you who with because I've not done a deal yet. Fair enough. But everyone else is like, yeah, I kind of, I don't know. I mean, I might see what's.
I think everyone's just waiting for one person to go out testing and say, oh my God, the Aprilia is the best bike out there. Or, oh my God, the Honda's the best bike out there. Or, oh my God, the R7's the best bike out there. They're all waiting because none of them want to commit to like getting the Honda and oh my God, I'm getting destroyed by the Aprilia, or no one wants to get the Aprilia and oh my God, I'm getting destroyed by the R7. So everyone's kind of sitting on the fence, I think, especially with the new class, on what they're going to do. The only good thing about that super team class that's coming is they don't have that problem because they're all going to be on the same bike, it's all going to be the same spec, and it's down to the rider. But I only know of one person that will be doing the super team class next season so far. I'm sure there are many others thinking, but at the moment I only know of one person.
Who's that?
I'm guessing, yeah. Can you name them?
I can't say because obviously they probably don't want me to say. Yeah.
Can you say the championship though?
They're coming from the super. They are coming from the Super Sport 400s, and I'm guessing there is going to be more people from that class doing the super teams. Because it's a bit more of a powerful bike, and they're going onto a 4-cylinder bike, so that kind of gets them ready for either going to Super Sport or Stock 1000.
I think for anyone that's in Junior Super Sport, I think right now it's, in my personal opinion, if I was still a rider myself, no, it would all be dependent on age. Because if I was a rider and I was going to be if I was a British Championship rider racing Junior Super Sport at the moment, and I was thinking about next year where I'm going to go, if I was going to go to Super Team class but could only race in it for 1 or 2 years max, I wouldn't necessarily bother. I would rather just step up to the Sport Bike Championship and ride the 650 for the season. You would still be on a twin cylinder machine, so it's a step up in power. But I don't know, I find the Super Team class a strange one. I mean, I think it's all age dependent and how long they're actually going to be able to get for that bike. Because if you're only going to get one season, what's the point even going to the class and spend 12 grand for one season? Is there actually an age limit on the Super? I know it's called Super Team, but it's 18, I believe, if I remember out off the top of my head, but there is definitely an age limit. Right.
Where the Super Twin class, there's no age limit. I don't know what the youngest is. It must be 16, I reckon. Yes,
but it's 16 to ride a 650 anyway. At least in SECU license terms. So yeah, I would assume. And
there's no age limit all the way up. So like when I said I've heard rumours that John McGuinness will be in it next season, so you could have an up and coming 16-year-old racing against John McGuinness. I don't want to say his age, but yeah, it would be a big difference, shall I say?
21.
But yeah, a lot to think about if you're a racer, and talking to a lot of people in the paddock, in the support paddocks at Donington, including many teams as well and team bosses. They're worried. They're genuinely worried. They were talking, they're making comparisons back to the financial crash of 2008 and really sort of worried.
Their bikes are worthless as well, basically now.
Yeah. Effectively, you get that impression. There's a lot of people who I mean, obviously they're not, but if everyone's trying to sell
so much
a lot of bikes,
not so much the 600s, the stock 600s, but definitely the Super Sport 400 bikes. I mean, I've seen people have got them up for sale for like 10 grand, and it's like, no one's going to buy that. No one. I mean, no one's going to spend 10,000, even if a new class starts up at club level at Bempsey or No Limits, which I have heard rumours they are going to start a class for them at Bempsey. No one's paying 10 grand for a club bike, especially a Supersport 400. So, yeah, there's a lot of bikes that have gone down in value quite a bit. So, yeah, I do feel sorry for those people. But I was kind of with the BSB, like championship times needed to move on. All right, it is really sad. I really like the stock 600 class. I think it was a really good class for youngsters, and it is sad to see it go. But unfortunately, no one buys those bikes on the road anymore.
Yeah, and we still don't know, of course, the GP2 class as well. That's still up in the air. Not many people coming out in support of it. The existing riders, obviously...
they are trying to rally together on social media.
I did see the Nova Racing team that they put out a Facebook post.
Well, that might just be in a vain attempt so that they're not forced to sell their slightly less valued bikes because no one will buy them anymore and they have to buy some new bikes and that sort of thing. But, I mean, they're obviously committed to that GP2 class, aren't they? So,
yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think their post is the post that put up on social media was basically just explaining why the class was better for them and the fact that it was a slightly cheaper alternative with consumable parts. So, and basically they said that their budget in the GP2 class, it was more comparable to a stock 600 bike than what it was a super sport class. So, yeah, it's going to be weird if we don't see that class. And I mean, it's never really spoke about on TV anyway. It's a great shame, but they sound bloody awesome going around the circuit, and they look great whenever you're in the paddock, just to stand there and stare at one, especially the Kramer that's there as well at BSB. But the post that Nova Racing put up on Facebook, the last line of it was, again, it's a shame that more didn't see the benefits of the GP2 class. And I'm not saying that sounds like a goodbye to the class, but it doesn't sound that hopeful anyway.
There's not much support for it. I think the writing's on the wall, unfortunately.
I think it's a shame that it never got... Obviously, they had to get the numbers for it, but I think it's... The thing that really hurts it the most is not having their own class, because they don't get the TV time as much as what the super sport people do. I mean, we had some riders like Josh Owens, Kyle Ride, who were fighting up the front for that championship, like against the super sport bikes, and that did help it a little bit. But yeah, it was really unfortunate that it never got its own class. I personally thought when super sport were on the bit of a decline, when we were losing 600s, I thought GP2 was going to take off. I thought that was going to be the new thing.
Yeah, it did have a bit of momentum,
it never
didn't
did take off.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. It's change is not necessarily a bad thing. No, unless you've just bought a new bike. But yeah, it's unfortunate. But as I think Stuart Higgs explained in the Explainer video, which came out unfortunately a week later after the information about the new classes, He I think he said something along the lines of, there'll be a bit of disruption for some people, to put it mildly. But hey, I mean,
it had to be done at some point, and you're never going to keep everyone happy. So
exactly, it's not the end of the world. I mean, God. So you can't.
It's rare though that we see two classes get shoved aside at the same time.
Yes, but I mean, I don't know if let's say you, Jay, were in a situation where you were racing in let's say GP2 and you had a bike. Let's just say you are in that class. You don't have much money, not much more prospects of earning any money. Well, I'm just being realistic. Not many people do have much money. You know, would you make the extra sacrifice? And I suppose for many people it is a sacrifice, isn't it? You have to sacrifice a lot of personal finance to scrape together a bike, because you can't necessarily just sell your current bike for the money that you want or need. Would you think about maybe stepping down from BSB level, the paddock, and do something like Bemsey or No Limits if you could, if it qualifies for there? I don't know. And just race a season in there? Or would you make that extra sacrifice is BSB the be-all and end-all?
No, none of these, unless you're in the there probably is one or two riders in British Supersport and probably top 10 riders in BSB who are actually making a living out of riding. So BSB definitely isn't the be-all and end-all at the end of the day. That's where a majority of the riders in country want to be. But yeah, if with these new classes, the way they are in that, if you did drop down for a season, just to let everything settle down, see where the best bikes are, what is the best championship to choose, then yeah, it's definitely something you could do. Also, if you are thinking of buying one of these R7s, Aprilia 660s, Honda Hornets, you can go ride these in the club championships. Like No Limits do have a class for these bikes, so it doesn't mean that you have to go straight into BSB and race in that championship straight away. You can go to No Limits and race in that championship as well. Get to grips with your new bike and then come back next season. So yeah, it's not the be all and end all. There definitely won't be anyone in that sports bike class doing that class for a living. They won't be making any money out of it, I'm sorry to say.
Well, yeah, it's just the nature of it, I suppose, isn't it? But that's the big dilemma facing many people because, well, yeah, many people don't have much money. Some people do, and they can do what they want. Great, get on with it, with whatever you want to do. But a lot of people are struggling financially to just, they've got the bike and they can just barely afford the parts, or, whether it's a team struggling. They've got big choices to make, Lewis.
Yeah, they do. And, well, money is all that this talk's been about, really, within the riders' minds anyway, is what they can afford for next season, whether they step down or whether they don't. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, that is what loads of the stock 600 riders were annoyed about, is the fact that it's tight on money at the moment, and now they need to buy a new bike, and now they can't race in the cheaper 600 class. But, well, as Jay said earlier, the class kind of had to end at some point. I mean, I know the grid numbers, to be fair, in the stock 600s, they were still healthy, but at the end of the day, from BSB's point of view, manufacturers don't make bikes for them, so it's not keeping up with the market. Well, now it seems that 650s, 660s and 700s are all manufacturers are making at the moment and are pumping out year on year and fighting with each other and trying to make the best bike for. So, yeah, it made sense to bring the Sportbike Championship up. I'm actually really excited for the Sportbike Championship. Yeah, I really am. But it sounds like it's going to be a controlled ECU like they do in British Supersport. So it's going to try and level out the playing field. No matter
I think
what
that was already announced.
Buy.
I think.
Yeah, it was already announced. Yeah, so it sounds like even no matter what bike you buy, they're trying to make it level anyway, so it shouldn't matter as much. But you would have to think the Aprilia and the Yamaha R7 will have the upper hand initially, because they've been raced for multiple seasons, albeit not with the same regulations, with Super Twin regulations in Ireland, Scotland and club level in England. So they've already have plenty of running at Northwest, TT, stuff like that. So there's plenty of data, plenty of parts already available for them, unlike something like the Honda Hornet, which is not necessarily used as much in Super Twin racing.
It reminds me of like Disney's Cars, that whenever you say it, it just sounds like the Hudson Hornet.
It's a fun name anyway. You have to give the bike that. It's definitely the coolest sounding bike on the grid.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's true either, but I've also heard rumours the Triumph are going to come in with their Triumph. I think it's called the Trident as well, which is a 660 engine bike. Obviously, they're going to have to make some massive modifications to it, because it's like kind of a sit-up bike, and they're going to have to make some big modifications. But there is rumours that they are going to bring that bike into the class as well. So, yeah, that'd be good to see. It's going to be good to see a class with loads of manufacturers in it. If I've heard there's Suzuki that are going to put a bike in as well. KTM do make a 660 race bike, but they don't yet make it as a road bike. So if they do make it as a road bike, then that'd be KTM in there as well. And I can tell you, I would have thought if that does happen, I think that will be the best bike to be on. It will be the most expensive, but it will definitely be the best bike to be on. It'd be good to see every manufacturer in it. And obviously, as we spoke, these are the most popular bikes on the road now. So all the manufacturers are going to want to be doing well in this class, because if they're doing well on the track, that means they're going to sell more on the road. So, I'm like Lewis, I'm really excited about this class, because that's whatever sells on the road, that's what makes racing good on the track.
Yeah, there's different trends. Things come and go, things that were number one in popularity 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, not necessarily anymore, because people are not buying them as much. Things that are popular now might not be popular in 5 years. So we might be seeing more or, less and stuff, and things come and go. And basically nothing should ever stay the same. Everything, I'm generally in favour of things developing, evolving, moving on into the future, always looking ahead, generally speaking. But there again, I haven't just bought a bike that's almost useless now. Anyway, Brands Hatch. Jay, is Brands Hatch still the best place for BSB to end its season?
I guess so. Like, we've seen some really iconic races there over in the years, especially at the last round. So Brands Hatch is a very iconic track, especially the GP circuit. Some mega racing over the years at that track, not just in BSB, back when World Superbikes used to go there as well. I think it's definitely the best place to end the season. Loads of overtaking opportunities, amount of overtakes we've seen going into the final corner. It is I think the best place to finish the BSB Championship, and I think we will see that again this weekend by the looks of it, in sunshine as well, so it's going to be good.
Maybe, who knows. We have seen a lot of iconic finishes in BSB. What was the Tommy Hill, 2011, 2010?
Yeah, Tommy Hill and Tommy Hill and Hopkins.
We also had Lowe's, Shaky, and I think it was Sam Lowe's, when he was on the Samson Honda, which that went down to the last lap as well. So, and we obviously had Haslam and Shaky a few years ago. Went both ways, didn't it? No, Haslam won it when the year Shaky got injured, and then we had that massive turn when I think Haslam did have like a 30-point lead going into the last round. As a disaster of a final round, his brakes fail in the last race, and then Shaky lands up winning the championship. So, like we saw that season, anything can happen, and you never know. That might turn around for Leon Haslam this year. He might have had that bad luck that year, and it might all go right for him this week, and we just do not know.
That is,
wouldn't that be wouldn't that be a turn on the head if we saw Leon Haslam win the championship?
It's very possible. That's the thing, you see, because whilst the PBM children have been fighting and squabbling and handbags amongst themselves, they've allowed Kyle Ryde, Leon Haslam, and even Lee Jackson, really, to, is he still technically in the hunt? I think he is.
It goes all the way down. It goes all the way down to Christian Idden, mathematically.
Yeah, it's so. Well, realistically, how likely are we to see another Donington type weekend happen? It's unlikely in terms of like predictability. It's not, but it could. That's the thing. Kyle Ryde. Could sneak in there. He could win it. It could be in the final race between Kyle Ryde and Leon Haslam or Lee Jackson. He might just come good.
It doesn't look like we're going to have that weather to stir up the mix this time around anyway.
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't trust forecasts
it's October.
At the moment. Yeah. So, Lewis, same question for you. Is Brands Hatch still the best place for a BSB final? And if not, where would you have it?
Well, it's been obviously Brands Hatch for a long, long time now for BSB. But out of all tracks in the UK,
Knockhill.
it's obviously Knockhill. The final round of BSB, not end it in Nevada.
Imagine going like last lap of the season, going into that hairpin.
Yes.
Whoever comes out the other side win. It would be carnage.
See, that's why it should happen. But no, obviously Navarra, imagine the kick-up for that one. But out of all the circuits in the UK, the only really two which seem suitable, is Donington and Brands Hatch for the final. So, I don't know. It depends. I mean, in one way, I think about it, and, it's always kind of been Brands Hatch and all the memories at Brands Hatch, so it makes sense, keep it at Brands Hatch. But also, would it be a bad thing necessarily, I don't think, to maybe switch it maybe year on year to Donington, Brands Hatch, and just kind of change up the championship.
Nice to see
how right it. Yeah.
Something.
And we'll see.
Okay, let's not get crazy.
That's worse than not kill.
Whoa, nothing wrong with Anglesey and its picturesque views and amazing drive to the circuit. It's just when you're there, it's a bit rough.
And the road, isn't it?
And the road, and the 4G, or lack thereof.
Can I just ask, Lester, if they do land up going to Navarra and British Talent Cup are there, do you get a free holiday then?
BSB and the word free. I mean, yes, we're always catered for amazingly well at BSB.
So will the Mondeo make it all the way there with all the
flight,
kit in the back?
obviously? But no, I'm not presuming anything, to be honest. I'm not going to presume that I'll still be involved. It would be nice to still be involved next season, but who knows? I'm not presuming anything. It's probably the best way to live life, isn't it? Never presume anything. That way you won't be disappointed. But I did go to, where was it? The other Spanish track. Jerez. That was like 4 seasons ago now. That was 2020. Jesus. That was before COVID. In fact, that was the same week that COVID kicked off and all the Spanish lockdown people were, and the same week, it was the same day when MotoGP had their round cancelled, wherever it was, because
Moto2 and Moto3 still rode.
Yeah, Anna Espoleto, she was in like the next office. She was running around taking calls, going mental, and it was all just kicking off around us, and we were just there for like Talent Cup going, okay, this isn't looking good. And then, well, we know what happened afterwards, but that was the last time I went abroad. That was like 4 years ago. Jeez. So it'd be nice to go back, even if it's Navarra, which I understand is one of the world's most premier up-and-coming tracks. Yeah.
Well, you'll be going.
No one agrees.
Soon, so you better look forward to it.
I don't know. A lot of people already on the BSB and fans support fan. I'm just looking on Booking.com for a thing. The latest, just seeing if what's around in the area. Not much. It's not even an airport. The nearest one is in France. But yeah,
So you've got to get a flight to France to go to Spain.
I'm easy. Whatever's easy, whatever.
You're driving there, Lester.
I'm not driving. No, I won't be driving anywhere. Hello to Liam, who's tuned in. Hello, good evening, Liam, as well, who's actually out in Spain at the moment, enjoying life over there in Spain. And why not? What was we talking about again? Oh, yeah, Brands Hatch. Is that still the best place for a BSB final? I would imagine yes, because, well, the only other place realistically is probably Donington. Don't mention Silverstone, and don't even bother with Cadwell. Nothing against those tracks. It's just for a final.
Silverstone GP track.
I mean, I don't see it being Snetterton. Snetterton isn't. There's something. It's a bit like if you're a football fan and you go to football games. It's a bit like the difference between, and this is Brands Hatch in my mind anyway. It's the difference between walking into your local football stadium, which is like it's got 5,000 stadium or 10,000, and it's nice, it's okay, it's pretty good. That's kind of like all the other tracks. And I realise I'm talking about MSV's other tracks, so I don't want to slag them off. But when you go to Brands Hatch, it's a bit like walking into Old Trafford, and you can sense the history of all Formula One, MotoGP, BSB, all the history and all the memories come flooding back, and that's what you get, really, when you go to Brands Hatch, especially for a finale. So, yeah, I think we should just keep it at Brands Hatch, I think. I think I've just made a good pitch for that. So, yeah. But talking about Brands Hatch, if you are going this weekend, let us know. There's been some discussion this year about, well, we know there's been inflation with prices and stuff. We've been keeping an eye out on, and we sometimes do a consumer review on how much things cost, tickets and flights and stuff. We found out it was actually technically cheaper to go and fly out, to get a cheap flight to India and get a cheap ticket to watch the Indian Grand Prix MotoGP than it was to go to Silverstone MotoGP. Minus all the food and stuff. But talking about food, yeah, prices.
Well, you didn't want to eat the food in India anyway, did you?
Well, according to your brother, he's a bit dodgy in with his food. That's what you said. And you only eat pasta with Marc Marquez, so...
I know.
Yeah.
So, anyway, but if you are one of those people who enjoys everything there is, but maybe you forget to pack a few sandwiches, or you forget to go to the Tesco Express down the road or something.
Meal deals.
Or, at Brands Hatch, it's pretty useful because you can just nip out round the back. There's a co-op and a chippy, so you can pretty much go and come back.
Well, maybe they want a high quality cheeseburger from the van.
Yes.
For £24.
No. £20. Let's get... No, but seriously though, if you're going to a BSB, I mean, you already know you're spending a lot of money. So, with beer and everything. Now, Lewis, you enjoyed a spectator weekend proper as a spectator at Donington Park in your tent, in your wet tent, floating around as you were. And... Well, yeah. What did you buy and how much was it, really? At Donington, slightly different, I'm going to say, to Brands Hatch because, well, maybe there's different vendors. I don't know. But generally speaking, how much money did you spend on being a spectator? On food, especially? That's what I'm getting at. At
Donington Park, luckily I didn't have to pay for my breakfast any mornings, which was good thanks to a certain British Talent Cup team. And also I did cook one of my mornings as well on my camping stove.
Because you had breakfast at the Belfords.
Yes, I did. It was a very good breakfast. And it saved some money as well.
There you go.
So, yeah, consumer advice, just
head over to the Belfords.
Yeah, head over to the Belfords. Everyone just queue outside. But no, the main thing actually I bought at the Donington weekend, even though it was wet and windy and kind of cold at some point, was ice cream.
Ice cream?
Yeah, well, actually, right, I do have a funny story about ice cream. Well, not a funny story, but I couldn't believe it in my own eyes, okay, even though I've been at racetracks plenty of times. But over just at the start of Redgate Corner, I got an ice cream with sherbet on top of it, and it was £3 for my ice cream.
Whoa, for an ice cream at the track?
Yeah, £3.
Three.
And then I went past Redgate at Hollywood, so this was maybe like 200 metres away.
Right.
I then seen the same ice cream advertised for £5. I don't really understand that at all. And also, I think I got some chips, which was £6, something like that, just for a very, very small, a McDonald's small of chips.
£6 for chips.
Yeah, I was expecting it to come in like
was it from the same
box,
wasn't from the same vendor, was it? Probably.
No.
So you spent on ice cream and chips. That was a stupid meal. Ice cream and chips. You spent basically a tenner.
Yeah, well, I wasn't that hungry at lunchtime, to be honest. But yeah, basically, I managed to not eat too much food and then just starve myself till the night, because I know how expensive racetrack food is, and I just saved it until the evening when I could cook my own burger that I had sitting there. And I think, I was a surprisingly good cook. But no, I mean, racetrack food's always expensive. I think burgers, for a burger, and I don't even know if I had chips. I think for a burger and chips, it was 13, 14 quid, something along that lines. So it was getting pretty costly. And then for a breakfast baguette, I think it was, which was just like sausage and bacon and a baguette, it was like £7.50, £8. Which
how big was the baguette? What was it? A proper?
It was a pretty small baguette. I wouldn't call it a baguette. A baguette with one G, baby. But it's always going to be expensive. And especially for things like burgers and stuff, which you always know what a racetrack burger tastes like. It's the best of the best quality of meat that has not been sitting there for hours on end that you're not paying a lot of money for. I mean, a burger, I think for burger and chips, it was, a lot of money.
Yeah, nobody goes for the cuisine.
No.
Because you ain't going to get any. Unless you go to approved MSV cafes, of course.
You're not going to find much healthy either if you're on, a health kit.
That's another thing as well. Yeah, why is there not any... I mean, Jay, you've just done a 5K run today. If offered the chance, would you eat healthy at a racetrack?
I've never ate healthy in my life, let alone at a racetrack. Wendy's sitting here bursting out laughing. No, I've never ate healthy in all my life. Do you want to hear my race weekend diet?
I've heard your race weekend diet. It involves beer, alcohol, cider, beer, vodka, Weatherspoons.
No, that's not that bad. It's just a few in the evenings.
A few Weatherspoons.
We get breathalyzed. Rob breathalyzers now, so we can't go too heavy. But me and Wendy did get food at Donington, and we paid £27, I think. £28 for 2 hot dogs, 2 portions of chips, and 2 bottled drinks.
£30?
Yeah, 27
for 2 meals.
Yes, you could have. Let's put it this way: the night before, which was my birthday, we went to Weatherspoons, and for that price, we filled the table full of food, and I think I had about 3 alcoholic drinks as well.
I've just been to Lidl and got a week's shopping for £30. Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
£30.
Wendy does food shop. Yeah, £30 for, and they weren't nice chips either. The hot dog weren't too bad, but chips weren't good.
That has just reminded me, actually, the extortionate price at Knockhill earlier in the year. My second BSB meeting of the year. There was a pizza stall on the exit of Clark's.
No.
And it's basically Tesco pizzas, I can't lie, that's cooked. But the pizza prices, first of all, changed every single day that we're there, and we're there from the Thursday. And on race day, I don't know how big the slice of pizza is here. I'm hoping it's a huge slice, but for one slice of pizza, it was £5, which
was it for a really chunky, big, thick wedge of pizza?
It wasn't. It was normal thickness of pizza. It was a pretty thin pizza, but I don't know the size of the slice, because they would cut it out in front of you. I couldn't bring myself to buy a £5 slice of pizza, but I'm hoping it was like a third of the pizza for that price.
Yeah, you're not getting cheap food when you go to a racetrack. I know that. And, being sane, everyone knows that. But, Jay, £30 for a couple of bits of chips and a hot dog. I mean, Jesus Christ, I saw you coming.
And 2 drinks.
Oh.
Yeah, you got 2 bottles of drinks.
Alcohol.
This was times 2, not just once. No, they weren't alcohol. It was the middle of the day. I don't agree with that.
Oh, yeah, just every other time of the day. So 2 drinks. I
ain't an alcoholic, Lester. Jesus Christ.
Anyway.
We have laws in Scotland to stop that.
I'm not an alcoholic, Lester.
Bo. Nice.
I'm a social drinker, that's it.
And he's very social.
Anyway, back to racing.
Well, hang on. Let's stay with the food prices. A lot of people are. This is a hot topic of contention. I want to. There's a tightrope to tread by not slagging off, especially the fine quality and offer and various choices and fine lots of choices that MSV offer. We're mostly talking about the vendors and the food trucks and the stuff. That's really what we're talking about. The last
you
time
got to remember, it's probably not it's probably not their fault either. They're probably getting charged an extortionate rate to be able to put their truck or burger van or whatever it is in the actual paddock area or around the track. They're probably getting charged a hell of a lot of money to do it. There's always a red double-decker bus at PSB meetings that's been turned into a bar.
Yeah,
I've never bought
good.
a drink from there, but
I can imagine
that's quite expensive for a pint from there.
Yeah, I mean, I know which one you mean. At Donington, it was parked at the Turn 1. And the only reason I've never gone in there is because I'm busy working, being professional.
Yes.
And also, I would imagine...
I haven't got time for any alcoholic beverages.
No. Food from all the Talent Cup teams, sure. Lots of time for them. But I'd imagine going into that...
If you're at Snetterton, you're all right because you've got a McDonald's literally outside Snetterton because me and Lester went there.
Exactly. So, and similar to Brands Hatch as well, if you do care to pop around the corner, you've got a Co-op and a Chippy, so you've got options there. Although don't expect to get any gravy from the Chippy because you'll get looked at as though you're talking a foreign language.
Yes, Southerners don't do gravy on their chips.
No.
Only Northern boys love gravy.
So, but anyway, that was, yeah.
But when we did go to that McDonald's at Snetterton, like the majority of the BSB paddock were in there as well, weren't they, Lester?
Oh yeah, they were. There was Johnny Garness with his Happy Meal and a few other bits. This is when it was like it was the final weekend where there was high tension, and with Garness could have won the championship. Well, he did win the championship that weekend, but he was sat pretty much on his own away.
The weekend we sadly lost Her Majesty.
Oh yes, that weekend as well, and Garness couldn't celebrate that weekend because of that. Well, he did, but he was. Yeah, that was the same weekend. Yeah, so normally when I go to Snetterton, I know I'm getting my snacks from the garage just down the road. I just always nip out and do that, as most teams do, to be honest. Or you go to the Spa, I think it is there, or go to McDonald's or Starbucks or whatever. Nothing against Tyrrell's. We like Tyrrell's, but we can get about 5 times as much food from McDonald's down the road. Just saying. Anyway, so yeah, what's your top consumer bits of advice? Are we missing something? Have you gone to a track? Is there a nice little restaurant down which is like hidden away that we don't know about? Is there a nice place near Alton Park? Where's the worst places for cheap food at racetracks in terms of not at the racetrack but nearby, i.e. where can't you sort of nip out just to go to like a Greg's just down the road or something? Where are you like forced to? I think generally. I don't think there's
anywhere near Anglesey.
No, or Cadwell.
No, Cadwell there definitely isn't.
Or Knockhill.
Knockhill, no. But Knockhill does have some good breakfast, I will say, and their food in general is pretty good. Not because it's my local track.
Yeah, I've had a breakfast in the Knockhill Cafe before. It's all right. Square sausage and that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Apologies if I managed to scare you with my echo effect. I was just startled earlier on with the fact that it actually cost Jay 30 quid, or maybe someone was just taking the piss and they just tried it on and said 30 quid, mate, and he actually, because he was just hungover, he just like, yeah, whatever, he's throwing money around that weekend, I can imagine, at Donington. But yeah, Knockhill.
Wendy paid for it, not me.
Oh well, if Wendy paid for it, it's all right, it's good. But yeah, Knockhill, I'm not a big fan of I know they do the square sausages and stuff, but
I like the square sausage.
Maybe he just disagrees with me. I don't know, I get stuck in my band. But who knows? But this weekend should be good. Anyway, should we talk about racing and stuff?
Yes.
Back to the actual racing. Right, okay, so we talked about pretty much everything else. Are there any other championships still to be wrapped up? Just remind me, Lewis.
Stock 600, I think, isn't it?
Yes, Stock 6 still needs to be wrapped up. National
Aaron
Superstock. Yeah, Aaron Sylvester. Dan Linfoot still leads the Superstock Championship, 33-point gap in that one. So still he can technically lose that championship. It's not over just yet. The BMWs as well, that's still not over. Although Richard Cooper has won every single race this season, it's still a 26 point gap. Actually, yeah, it might be over. I don't know.
Pretty much.
It's 2 races.
No, 2 races, yeah. So it's not over just yet for them. But Richard Cooper, he's basically got it in the bag, let's be fair. So yeah, basically every single championship still needs how doable, how likely it is. All championships still need to be wrapped up apart from British Supersport, which has already been done. Obviously, Talent Cup and Junior Supersport, but they're not here this weekend at Brands Hatch.
So Jay, which championship are you most looking forward to? Are you actually going to Brands Hatch, or are you just watching it on the telly?
I'll be there. Yeah, I'll go get there Saturday about midday, so I'll get there just in time for a little bit earlier to watch the BSB sprint race on Saturday, and then I'll be there all day again on Sunday. Even though the championship is wrapped up, I am once again looking forward to seeing how Casey gets on the OMG Yamaha in Supersport again, see if he can pick up another podium before the end of the season, and once again, one of these many classes that he's ridden in this season.
He has been about a bit. How did he get on at the weekend in the Junior GP? He was with another new team, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was with the...
He was in the front group.
Yeah, it was with the Australia Galizia team. And
did his teammate win?
His teammate Angel Piqueras won the race, and he also won the championship for the team as well. And he also won the Red Bull Rookies Championship this season as well. So Angel Piqueras has been a dominant force. It seems like the next Spaniard that's going to come into the Moto3 class. And so yet again, another Spaniard at the front. But Casey O'Gorman, he finished in 9th position in the race, and Eddie O'Shea finished in 6th. So great result for Eddie.
Yeah, good to see him back at the sharp end. Given all his injury troubles that he's had this year.
The front group was really 11 riders, so he was within the front group.
Okay. And who else was in the... I was just trying to remember now. You mentioned Emmanuel Brinton earlier. What? Remind me, I've already forgotten what you said. What happened with him?
Yes. Yeah, Emmanuel Brinton, he was in the race. Well, first of all, also we had Evan Belford that was riding this weekend. Sadly, he didn't get to make it to the race. He was in the last chance race after he was in the certain position in the top whatever in qualifying. So he had to go from 8th position in the last chance race, and he didn't make it through to the race 1 and race 2 of the actual main races. So Emmanuel Brinton, he was riding as well under, of course, the Great British flag, and the only rider I'm just trying to see where he finished. Emmanuel Brinton, he finished 17th was his best result this weekend. So pretty good result in a competitive field anyway for Emmanuel Brinton.
Yeah, I know Carter Brown was back racing as well.
Yeah.
I saw a Facebook post saying he was a bit disappointed with how things were, because we were busy. We were Three Sisters in Wigan, so I didn't actually watch any of it live, although this happened on the Sunday and I was in bed all day. So
yeah, no excuse.
Yeah, sorry, Carter. But anyway, it sounds like he didn't have much of a great weekend of it. Is he back this weekend? I don't know what he's doing in... what was he racing? Junior Supersport? He was doing something at BSB a while back, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was doing some BSB, but mainly this season it's been in the Stock 600 class in European Championship. But he DNF'd from the actual race himself, itself, and then the race was red flagged. So, yeah, Carter Brown, not a good weekend at all for him. He qualified in P13 though, so he's still potentially could have got inside the top 10 in the race, but he crashed. Red flag was brought out, and then obviously he couldn't restart it. So it was a 6-lap dash, really, in the stock 600 class.
Okay. So yeah, well, how will Casey O'Gorman get on this weekend in his class? Surely he must get confused as to which sort of class he's on or what sort of bike. He's on a different thing every single week.
Well, he obviously changed team as well in Junior GP for Aragon, and he changed class as well, because before, obviously, started the year with the Vision Track Michael Laverty team in the European Talent Cup. He then changed mid-season to the Super Hugo 44 team in the European Talent Cup, and now he's in the Australia Galizia Junior GP team now as well. So that's 3 teams and 2 championships.
Honda, isn't it?
Well, obviously, apart from the Talent Cup.
Oh yeah, slightly different,
but yeah, obviously it's a different bike.
Full Moto 3, I think it was his first time on a Honda, I think.
Did he not? Casey did Junior GP last year for a one-off as well, though, with Vision Track.
I think that was on a KTM, though, wasn't it? I'm not sure. Can't remember. No, yeah, because that was for the MT Helmets team, I think.
There isn't many teams that he's not been flirting with, basically. Eventually, he's going to probably go through all of the teams in Europe till he finds one that he likes. So I don't know. Whatever. He's still talented, and let's just hope he settles down and puts together a good campaign next season. Whether that's in BSB, focusing on these super sport with OMG. Or whether it's in Europe doing something else somewhere else, or in many other places, or in 100 different championships. Who knows? But yeah, interesting.
It'd be good if he could stick with that team he was in this weekend, because obviously that is a very, that's probably one of the best teams in the European Talent Cup. So yeah, hopefully he can stick with them for next season.
Who knows? Prospects are not looking good, considering he's been with like 50 odd teams already this season. Not quite, but yeah, he's been about a bit. But yeah, hopefully he can find somewhere that he gels with and that everyone likes, and everything's for next year. And let's call this a transitional year for him. But O'Gorman back in action this weekend, and hopefully in form and on it and back on the podium. And Evan Belford will be back with the Vision Track team for the final ETC round at wherever it is.
Valencia,
is it?
Yeah.
I don't know. That as well. So good luck to Evan with that. And BSB in action this weekend should be really good. I'm going to say that. I am going to ask everyone for predictions later on. But first, before we go to MotoGP, let's just cast our minds back, Jay, Lewis, to last weekend, last Friday and last Saturday. We were at Three Sisters in Wigan, Fab Racing Mini Bikes British Championship. It is still the best place to begin your career if you are a young rider, bar none, no questions asked. Why do we say that? Because it's the unofficial feeder series to the British Talent Cup and the Red Bull Rookies series as well. Other championships, I mean, BMB have got the Junior GP thing, but winners and participants in that struggle to do anything afterwards, unfortunately. But anyway, we were at Fab, and it was at Three Sisters in Wigan at the weekend, and we did see quite a lot of action, which brings me on to a clip of some action in particular, and not the thing you think I'm thinking of, but mini F1 sidecars. Yes, because, just set the scene anyway, Lewis, because coming into the last round, it was basically Mick Williams was like the Michael Schumacher or the Valentino Rossi of mini F1 sidecar racing in the world, basically. He dominated pretty much, and I do mean dominate pretty much, when his engine sort of didn't work, or when it's like raining, or when he has a very rare dodgy moment and someone else wins a race. But Mick Williams, by and large, since I've been involved in the championship since 2016, he has been the number one. He's won everything pretty much every single year until this year. It really looks like for the first time that we might have a different champion, because it came down to the wire and the last round. Take it from there, Lewis.
Yeah, so headed into the last round of the season, it was just a 35-point gap between the two of them, which is extremely close for the mini F1 sidecars, especially with the point scoring. The point gap has slowly but steadily came down every single round between McWilliams and the Green Street duo, Faber and Son. But yeah, heading into the final round of the championship, extremely close, a brand new circuit for them as well, and for the mini F1 sidecars, a really tricky track, really quick, and to make moves, you had to make them nice and early on, and over the Green Streets, that's what they tried to do. But contact between McWilliams and the Green Streets meant that I believe it was in race one between the two of them. But so these guys were battling on in race one. This was the Friday action for this brand new circuit, and then you head up the rise, you go down the Coward Summit, and well, the Green Streets, they tried to make a move down the inside, and the Coward Summit tightens up. They lost the rear, made contact with McWilliams, and sent them both into the grass. And yeah, McWilliams, it was the angriest I think I've ever seen him in his entire life. He was absolutely livid. Even after it, I'm sure there'll be some colourful words, maybe one or two swears in there.
I think he was saying, silly sausage. What are you playing at?
Something along that lines. But the Green Streets managed to get a sidecar going again, but then just seconds later they pulled out of the race and then pulled out at the end of the pit lane. So McWilliams still absolutely livid at this point. He went into the pit lane after this and he just chucked off his levers in anger. And funnily enough, they didn't go near each other, the sidecar duos. They didn't want to speak to each other at all.
That's always a giveaway,
maybe
isn't it?
some handbags at dawn between the two of them in pit lane, but nothing along that lines. But after that incident, for race 2 of the weekend, the Green Streets were given quite a hefty penalty. They were sent to the back of the grid for race 2 of the mini F1 sidecars. And on top of that, they had to wait 10 seconds after the lights went out before they could set off. So a huge penalty for that incident, but that ultimately handed the title to McWilliams. And within all of that, in race 1, McLee managed to win in the mini F1 sidecars.
Yeah, there was also action as well, Jay, in one of your races as well, in the, I think it was the pit bike, race number 2, I think it was, on the Saturday morning, because for some wild reason, we were only racing on the Friday and Saturday instead of Saturday and Sunday. I think it's because Three Sisters had some sort of tin pot car thing going on.
Car, yeah.
But anyway, race 2 in the pit bikes. Yeah, Jay, just talk us through, in particular, the last couple of laps.
So we were very lucky this weekend that we had Michael Med come to the championship, who is the B&B Pit Bike 140 champion. So we obviously have the Fab Pit Bike Championship.
Because he was racing there the week before at B&B, wasn't he?
Yes, yeah. So him and Liam Wood, who races in both championship, were at Three Sisters the week before. Michael Med, who is good friends with Chris, who is the Fab 140 champion, thought he'd come give it a go at Fab.
Thought he'd come over, find it easy, didn't he? He thought, I'm the king over at B&B, and then what happened at the last lap of race 2?
Well, in race 1 on Friday, before we even get to that one, he crashed in that one. He lost the front while he was in the lead. And then the last lap, I had the best view of it because I was behind both of them. I could have actually stopped that accident from happening because I could have got Michael Med, as we're now about to see on this screen, going into the chicane. If I had got him, I would have saved him from having this horrible off. But Michael was a lot quicker than me and Chris going through this flip-flop. He's a lot bigger lad than us, and he can flick the bike a lot quicker than me and Chris. And he just misjudged it. He came out of there a lot quicker than Chris, and as we can see here, he just ran into the back of him. As Chris was just sitting up, he was still on the power and just ran into the back of him. And that was the end of his weekend. Suspected broken wrist, I think he said he had. So he decided to give the last race a miss. But especially the two Saturday races. They were really good pit bike races, even though there weren't many of us out there this weekend. 4 of us, Liam, Michael, me and Chris. They were really close races. Especially that third race was probably one of the closest pit bike races I've ever had. I'm still a bit heaved that I didn't win and I got pushed out on the last lap, but I wouldn't have changed it. It was such a close race, and how me and Liam never actually ever touched each other was incredible. So yeah, some really good pit bike racing. Hopefully that'll carry on next season. So yeah, really good. But it was good to see we had plenty of championship deciders in the other classes as well.
Yeah, we did see a nice little all the champions apart from Mick Williams, who doesn't generally go in front.
I did ask him to come join in, but I still think he was in a bad mood.
Well, okay, yeah, it was a nice thing at the end of the day anyway, at the end of the season, to see all of the champions just doing a lap of honour, which is a new thing for Fab. Which
I think they all did a little burnout as well.
Yes, exactly. So, Lewis, it was fantastic to see. Again, a lot of these riders were getting a bit of practice in the week before at BMB and in preparation for the main event, Fab Racing at Three Sisters, where they enjoyed live coverage all weekend of all of their races.
Yeah, they did. Live coverage, of course, and live coverage of this burnout, the end of season celebrations. Taylor Thompson, Byron Johnson, Jensen Ansel, Silva Mincy, and Marco Holt. I believe it was the second rider or something to do both the 50s and the 70s in the same season, apart from, of course, Casey O'Gorman. But Marco Holt winning the 50s and the 70s in the same year and bringing some gold variants as well to celebrate. It was... looked absolutely lovely for that final race. Sadly, he couldn't pull it off for a win, but with those fairings on. But he did manage to pull off both of the championships. He got a free LS2 helmet out of it as well, so I don't think he'll be complaining about that one. But he was very happy with the result as well. So there is his helmet that he celebrated the championship with. And also he gave a little thank you to Motorsport Media on the back of his championship winning shirt as well.
Yeah, Marco Holt, a name to remember for the future. He's already been doing some bits of racing in Europe, and I think he'll intend to continue to do that next season as well. Very much on the it's a treadmill of talent now that Fab Racing producing. We've had Ethan Spark, Casey O'Gorman, from the Cool Milk, Cool Fab era when I think Fab Racing was basically transformed and put on this road to MotoGP ladder, really. Casey O'Gorman was one of the first ones to graduate from it. Well, actually, it was Scott Ogden and Josh Watley. And look where they are now. Then we had, yes, it was, I think, Casey O'Gorman. And then I think like Ethan Sparks, amongst others. We've also had Lucas Brown, who won the GP70 Championship, which is the main class at Fab. He's racing in, he was racing in British Talent Cup this year. Don't know exactly what he's doing next year, but onwards and upwards. Just goes to show, folks, that if you're thinking of a career for your child in motorcycle racing, head to Fab Racing. There is no better place to do it, and you enjoy live top coverage of all your racing supplied by us.
While we're still on Fab, it was just something his dad mentioned to me. At the end of the day, Byron Johnson, he wants to become the first ever Fab rider to complete the set, and he would love it to do it in consecutive years. So he won the Mini Moto Rookies. Last season he won the Pros. This season he won the Elites. Next season he's hoping to win the 50s, and then the year after that he would like to win the 70s. So he wants to be the first ever Fab rider to complete the set, and if he does that, that would be superb to be out, especially if he can do it consecutively all the way through. That would be one hell of an achievement.
Well, yeah, there's especially with there is the opopportunity to do that.
And he's got to be one of the favourites for the 50 Championship next year, with a lot of the guys moving up. He'll be one of the favourites, I think, to potentially do that as well, along with Frankie, who got 3 third places this weekend. I think he's going to be one of the favourites as well. Yeah,
Frankie Watson, and there is a lot of option, more than ever before now. If you are a junior motorcycle racer and you're wanting to get on that ladder, there's quite a few options. There's Fab Racing, B&B, obviously they started doing more and more mini moto stuff, and there's the Free Tech junior thing as well. But I mean, there really is no comparison if you're really serious about having a motorcycle racing career.
Yeah,
Fab Racing, obviously the place to go. Because the results speak for themselves, really. Just look at the graduates who have come through Fab. Not only just the racers as well, but the commentary team. Yeah, bit of a brag. But yeah, we've had quite a lot of world-class, top-level, next-generation world-class commentators come through. Tom Brooks, Tristan Finocchiaro, Kiko Giles, Liam Hodgins as well, and who knows, maybe someone else, maybe J King. Just kidding. No. But yeah, no, it's always great to put these events together. It's always super stressful, and we do try really hard. We don't always get it right because it is live. A lot of stuff can go wrong. Sometimes it does go wrong, but generally speaking, we always do try and put on a world-class performance along the lines of like what MotoGP would quite easily do on a shoestring budget. And I think we managed to achieve that. Certainly, if you watch the B&B coverage from the week before versus our coverage the week after last week, I'll let you make my mind up about that. But anyway, should we move on? Talking about MotoGP, it's on this weekend.
Let's get to MotoGP gossip.
Yeah.
Hey, right. So big talking points then, Lewis. Marquez. Okay, do we even need to talk about that? It's a bit boring now.
Of course we do.
Why? It's boring.
It's coming to an end.
Yeah, we knew that.
Yeah, but there's loads of things to discuss, as in now what's going to happen. He rides for Gresini now.
Okay.
Are Ducati really happy with that? If he starts winning all the races and beating Pecco, are they going to turn that dial down on his
kind of
bike?
fantasy world.
So he's a bit slower.
He won't start winning loads of races. He'll not in his first season. Well, also, how long's he there for as well? He's not even been announced yet. So, and is he going to just be and this is something that we spoke about on previous shows, and it's something that I don't actually think will happen. Will he just go there as a straightforward team rider, employer, sort of normal
I
kind
don't
of thing?
think he's going to have anything to do with Ducati. I don't think Ducati want anything to do with him. I think he is going there as a Gresini rider. That's why I worry a bit if he does start doing really well and he's beating Pecco week in, week out. Ducati can just go to that bike and just imagine a big dial on the side saying fast and slow. They can make it slow. So
I doubt that. I mean,
yeah, it's going to be interesting.
That team, well, we're presuming that he is definitely going there, and he probably is definitely going there.
Yeah.
But
there's not much else to go.
But I think we're all assuming that the team Gresini of this year is going to be the same look and feel and management structure of next year, and it probably won't be.
Because there's already rumours that, obviously, because Martin is catching Pecco very quickly now, and obviously Martin is not in the factory team. The factory team, again, can just go to his bike and go, you're getting a bit close now. Time to wind it back a bit, which I think is really sad. No one wants to see that. It should be down to the rider. But obviously the factory team want to see their factory rider winning, and they're not going to be very happy if the satellite team beats the factory team. So, yeah, it's just as we're talking how interesting it is in BSB, it's just as interesting in MotoGP as well. And we're going to a track where, what should we say, the weather conditions play a massive part, as they have in the last couple of rounds of MotoGP. So, yeah, this weekend in MotoGP is probably going to be just as interesting as BSB.
What do you reckon, Lewis? Certainly with Gresini anyway. Am I right in suggesting that I think we're all presuming that the Gresini team is going to be the same as next year, when I think actually it won't be. They will see a lot of changes, potentially in ownership structure or investment. I think Marquez might have a big stake in that team, personally.
Well, yeah, well, I don't know about the whole stake part.
I could be wrong.
I guess it would be that whole side of it. I guess it all depends on what Marquez wants for the future for himself. If he actually sees himself staying at Ducati, if that's where he wants to stay, because we don't know how long the contract's going to be. For example, it might only be for 1 year, or it could be a 3-year contract or whatever.
Why would he do 1 year?
But
doesn't make any sense.
If it was 1 year, for example, if it was a 1 year contract and Marquez actually had his eyes set on somewhere else, like a KTM,
like why would
spot,
anyone take him if it's just a 1 year? Because they know his heart's not really in it, because he's always looking for something else somewhere else.
Because it's Marquez.
I think he secretly still wants to go. He wants KTM. I think that's secretly where he wants to go.
Maybe.
I think it fits his brand really well, but he obviously can't go there at the moment because they had way too many riders as it is. But maybe in 1 more year's time, if Jack Miller doesn't have another good year, then that space becomes available. But if Pedro Acosta has a good year, he's going to want that factory ride as well. So, yeah, I don't think for certain we know when Marc Marquez is going to be next season.
Yeah.
But what happens after that, we don't know. We don't know. He might get on that Grassini bike, come straight back into it, win the championship, and go Ducati. All right, maybe we made a mistake here. Let's get him on the factory bike. We don't know, do we?
I think we know that won't happen.
Do you know? I don't agree with Cal totally what he says, where he went, there's no point of any of the other riders turning up if Marquez gets on a Ducati. But personally, I think he's still got it. I think you kind of have to look at it as he's from that era of, well, they were coming to their end of the career.
Yeah.
Marquez was just starting, but he's in that era of Lorenzo, Pedrosa, Stoner, Rossi. And you see when Danny Pedrosa came back, he was, even though he's been retired for like 5 years, he was straight in the top 5 again. It's not saying that all these top riders in MotoGP are bad riders, far from it. But I still think those riders from that era are still another level compared to what the current MotoGP riders are. I think it was
living in the past, man.
I think that Motegi this weekend, that Fabio Quartararo only just went quicker than what Lorenzo was doing like 10 years ago without aero or like the sit-down device or anything like that. It just shows how the quality of what those riders were. So I think Marquez will get on that Ducati, and I think personally he's going to be thinking, Jesus Christ, I've wasted about the last 3 years of my career on this bike.
Well,
I think he's still got it. I think he's going to. I reckon. Do they still do that test straight after the last round?
Yeah.
So he'll be on a Ducati. Well, presumably he'll be on a Ducati on Monday at Valencia after the last round.
Tuesday.
Tuesday, shall we say? I reckon he'll be top of the sheet straight away.
I do think Marquez will be a championship contender next season. Or if he's on a Ducati. I'm not saying he necessarily will win the championship, but I do think he will be a championship contender. And the test after Valencia happens on the Tuesday, because obviously they have the MotoGP Awards on the Sunday night. I think everyone has a little bit of hangover on the Monday morning as well. So I'll be at that test, so I can actually see Marquez on a Ducati.
Wow. I'm more excited about that. I would be more excited about that than I would be watching the racing on Sunday. Oh
yeah, it's good. Well, the way the championship's going, the championship might go down to the wire anyway at Valencia. 3 points gap in the championship at the moment between Bagnaia and Martin. You can't really predict it because Martin's chipping away every single round. But as we all know, as the season progresses, that's when the championship, that's when the factory bikes usually pick up, because that's when they get the parts in, and then that's when the satellite teams slightly fall behind on development, is towards the latter stage of the season. So yeah, it's going to be a tough task for Martin, but it all depends obviously on Bagnaia's mindset. But yeah, going back to the Marquez point as well, I do somewhat agree with Lester with the fact that the whole management structure is going to be slightly different next year. Actually, the whole Marquez camp's going to be slightly different because I do believe he's not going to be bringing in Santi Hernandez as crew chief with him to Gresini Ducati, which was a big shock, actually, I thought. So, yeah, Santi perhaps just staying with Honda at whoever they're going to get, whether that's going to be a Iker Lecuona, whether Zarco is going to get promoted into the seat. I did see as well on motorsport.com, they were reporting that Miguel Oliveira could potentially be in the running for that Repsol Honda seat. Wow. So, yeah, Oliveira obviously always had all season is mechanical issues with that RNF Aprilia. He seems to be the unluckiest rider on the grid. So, yeah, it would be an interesting one. But would you want to... I know obviously it's an unreliable bike, but if you were on an RNF Aprilia, on an Aprilia, as you're Miguel Oliveira, would you want to switch to a Honda?
Oh, no. I definitely wouldn't. Not at this current time. But we do know that from what we've heard, that Honda are going to throw everything at it to make this better again. So at some point, I would have thought Honda are going to come back bigger and stronger. So if you want to look at it in the long term, maybe it is a good thing. But as we sit at this current moment, then no, it's not a good choice. I think the best option would be to put Zarco in that team. He's one of the older people in the championship now. He's got a lot of experience of riding all the other manufacturers in that championship. So I think it'd be a good move for Honda to put Zarco on that bike.
Well, one thing is for sure, it's definitely going to unravel and be an fascinating final few races. Lewis is going to be at Valencia, and do you actually get on if you're staying for the test a few days later, do you actually get more access now that presumably all the security have gone? Do you get to wander about and
you actually get less access to the circuit than what you do on a race weekend, because at the end of season test, obviously Valencia, it's almost like a massive stadium.
Could you go into the pits and...
No, still no. But you can't even go in any of the grandstands that you would necessarily normally view in. You have to go to the grandstand above the pit lane, which is good though, because you can still see the bikes coming out of pit lane and the riders walking about in pit lane if they're walking about and exiting the pits. And yeah, you can go all the way on the grandstand, all the way above the pit garages. You can walk along there. That's the only grandstand which is sadly open, but there is a big screen as well to watch the test with the TV feed. So, and from there you can see all the circuit apart from I think one or two corners. So yeah, you can see everything that's happening during the test anyway, and see down into the pit lane. And it's busy enough to get somewhat of an atmosphere, but it's not overly busy, obviously, with it being a end of season test. And of course, it's free. So yeah, I'll be going to that and excited anyway. Yeah.
Is it free to go to the test to watch it?
Yeah, it's free. It's free to go in the test. No ticket, nothing. You just walk up the grandstand and go watch.
But how much are the hot dogs?
Sad. All the food vendors, everything's shut away.
Oh well.
Yeah, you have to.
And it's not going to be particularly It's not going to be particularly that warm either, is it?
It warms up throughout the day, but at the start of the day, yeah, you do have to wear a jumper. This year might be different as well because it is at the end of November. It'll be the 28th. Yeah, it'll be the 28th. Well, last year I think it was on the 7th or something like that of November, the test. So, yeah, it's going to be weird. I think at Valencia, who knows, we could even have some wet sessions, which I'm hoping not. I'm hoping some late November sunshine. But it's a very late time to head to Spain anyway for MotoGP. So, who knows, if Championship goes down to the wire there, we could have a few surprises.
Yeah. To put it lightly. And a few days before you go out to Valencia, we'll be at Birmingham for Motorcycle Live, nooching around and interviewing whoever's there, basically. So, yeah. It's on all week.
Yeah, I believe BSB Day as well is on the 19th as well, which we'll be there for that one.
Oh, will we?
So,
okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Very good. But we'll miss the FIM Champions Day. Well, you will, because you'll be out and stuff. And I think Jonathan Ray's going to be there, I think. Someone's going to be somewhere. But yeah, I think that's a new thing, actually. I've not been to a motorcycle live for a couple of years. So, yeah, since, they didn't do it much during COVID anyway. So I've not been since like 2019. So, yeah, it'd be good to go back and grab loads of interviews with loads of people and see what's going on. And we will report back, and that'll be probably the last show of the year. Are you going to that as well, Jay?
I might come if you're there, Lester. I might come say hello. I'll see. I went last year.
You were slagging it off at the weekend.
Yeah.
Was you?
Yeah, I did think it was very good. It didn't help because the week before, I'm not boasting, but I went to the EICMA bike show in Italy, which is, I'm not going to lie,
right. Yeah, I remember.
Pretty epic. And then you go to the NEC, and I'm not going to lie, it's like someone putting a few bikes on a stand in a shed compared to that. If you get the chance, both of you have to do it. Go to the EICMA bike show in Italy, in Milan. It is brilliant.
Well, next time I'm mooching about, I'll go.
So did you, just curiosity, did you pay specifically to go to Italy to go to the motorcycle show?
Yeah. It was with a previous company I used to work for. We went there, but it wasn't paid for or anything like that. It was like my boss said, "Oh, do you think we should go?" And I was like, "Yeah, it'd be an experience." And it doesn't cost that much money. Flights to Italy that time of year are literally like 30 quid. We didn't stay at a hotel near the venue. We stayed one like a train stop away. I'm not going to lie, there were no gates on that train, so I never paid to get on the train. It doesn't matter, it's too long ago now, they ain't going to catch me now. So I never paid to get back and forward on the train. The hotel was reasonably cheap. You have to go for 2 days. You cannot do it in one. It is far too big to try and do it in one day. We went for 2 days, stayed in Italy for a total of 3, had a day in Milan as well. I bet it didn't cost me more than 300 quid all in. So yeah, if you got a chance of going, definitely go. It's absolutely mega.
Well,
Milan's not cheap though. Pizzas are expensive in Milan.
How much is the Wetherspoons in Milan? Yeah.
Yeah, there's no Wetherspoons in Milan. We did have some nice pizzas in Milan, but yeah, it is expensive. More expensive than Donington.
Yeah, but you probably went to all the tourist places and they fleece you through there.
Oh yeah, definitely. Went in the Ferrari shop and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, wow, it's expensive in there. Wow, who'd have guessed? But yeah, no, I prefer like some, local places and some, like down some back street places where only, the locals know about cheap, basically, yeah.
Yeah, but go to Milan. Very good. EICMA bike show. You gotta go.
Very good. So
I met Fabio. Who else did I meet? I met Bezzecchi. Bastianini. So most of the MotoGP riders go, but they get. Oh, yeah. I never knew. I didn't think in life, like when you read on the news and they say people got trampled to death, I'm like, how is that even possible? I found out going to that bike show full of Italian MotoGP riders. They go absolutely nuts. God knows what it would have been like when Rossi used to go there. Jesus Christ. But yeah, it's nuts, absolutely nuts. But yeah, if you'll never want to go back to the NEC again if you go to that one.
Well, let's not completely rule out the Motorcycle Live show. It is still great value for money unless you're taking a car, in which case it's like 30 quid a day for parking. Fuck that. Yeah. Yeah. So I'll be staying at the... it's actually cheaper to probably pay to stay in the short stay car park at the airport than it is at the NEC. It's probably not, but whatever.
Yeah, that is probably true, and just get the bus.
Oh yeah, that's what we'll be doing. Right, so a couple of bits of breaking news.
Pedro Acosta, we haven't spoke about him yet.
We've got some breaking news. Hang on a minute. We've got some breaking news here. Liam Hodgins ate a burrito earlier, and also the Moto E calendar was confirmed earlier.
Yes.
And apparently Luca Marini is going to try and ride this weekend as well. That's the latest in from our sources here at Motorsport Radio.
Can't believe Bezzecchi's going to ride if he's got a broken collarbone.
He's already got it operated on. he got it operated on, I think, the day after. So he's hoping to ride. But obviously with Michael Peter also now being injured, they're going to struggle to find riders to replace people pretty soon anyway. But yeah, the Moto E calendar was also announced, and that's going to be an 8-round calendar next season as well, with them going to Portimao as well next season.
Are we still taking that seriously? Is that still a real thing, or is it just is it just so Dorna can say we're being green?
Well, some of the racing Moto E actually is
it's more dangerous. Have you seen?
Good,
if you go to any MotoGP events, I've never seen so many Spanish fire men or bombarderos or whatever they're called. And at first I didn't know what they were doing. I was like, it was like 50.
They look like stormtroopers.
Yeah, and they're walking around in full thing, and I'm like, what are these? These are some sort of display or some sort of thing going on there, something. No, they're there for the Moto E to make sure they don't explode and burst into flames.
Which has been known.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, literally. The whole paddock went up in smoke once. And Linden Hill. So these things are not very not at all environmentally friendly. So, yeah, just knock it on the air to stop pretending, guys.
Sadly, they won't be coming to Silverstone
next
year either.
What a shame. Damn, everyone enjoyed that.
How much at Silverstone did you watch the Moto E?
I did actually, only because I was sat in the media room and it was on, and we were like, just come on, I'm just waiting for the talent cup here. Come on. But it just goes to show that if one of those bikes crashes in a certain way, it can't be recovered, and the whole session has to be abandoned, and then they have to get a special forklift to come in
to pick it up.
And no one's allowed to touch it, because it's all green and safe and healthy and that. That's how, Plus it needs a team of travelling Spanish firefighters to escort them around the world wherever they go to make sure, because it's green and clean and everything. And, the whole thing's just a load of bollocks.
They're not fun to crash, even pick up the way, the last... But in general, they don't crash well at all. Whether it be low side, high side, it seems like they come down pretty hefty anyway. They never crash well at all. And as you mentioned, whenever that red light does flash, saying it's unsafe, we do have to stop the session, get special equipment in, and stop everything. While our normal bike, it would be okay and we could just continue. But those are the flaws of electric bike racing, and for many people they may think it might be the future, but it's something a bit different to add into the MotoGP weekends, let's just say. But still 8 rounds. They're not coming to all the rounds as of yet anyway. No flyway rounds, obviously. I think that would be a bit too much to try and get all those firemen, get all the equipment out there to somewhere like Australia.
Well, it'd be saving the planet to fly all those people around there just so everyone can watch a couple of bikes going round, unless one of them explodes and bursts into flames and pollutes the atmosphere. But whatever, what do I know about healthy green stuff? I hear, Jay, that Fab Racing might be having electric pit bikes. Imagine that. What do you reckon?
I have rode one. I have done a review on my YouTube channel. Pit Bike Sonic, if you want to go check it out. There is it was good, instant power. It's very surprising how loud getting your knee down is when your bike doesn't make a sound.
The sound of your knee?
Because that's that's all you hear, because obviously the bike's silent. You get your knee down and it's so loud getting your knee down. It's just, that's all you hear. And then as soon as you're back on the straight again, it's just and that's it. So
I think I remember in one of the first years of Moto E, I think it was 2019, at the Saxon Ring, that they were showing an onboard camera, and that was the main thing that they were emphasising, was the fact that you can hear them getting their knee down.
So there you go.
And talking about Moto E's as well, talking about healthy green stuff, the Michelin tyres that they use are made out of biodegradable materials like banana peels and stuff like that in their tyres. They're green too.
Okay. Anyway,
let's talk about Pedro Acosta now.
We've got like literally 2 minutes to talk about that. So go on then.
Pedro Acosta. Yeah, so Pedro Acosta is now riding for the GasCas team. They have kicked out Pole, which I think we all agree was probably better than kicking out Fernandez. Yeah. It seems like Pole kind of gave in on that as well by the sounds of it. He kind of like, I'll be the one to step out the way here. So fair play to him for doing that. But yeah, Pedro Acosta in MotoGP, that's extremely exciting. Everyone tips him that he is the new Marquez. So it'd be really interesting to see how well he does. I think he was probably hoping that he would be on a factory KTM, but I think he was only in Moto3 for one season. He's been in Moto2 for 2 seasons. He's basically following what Marquez did, because Marquez didn't win Moto2 in his first season. So he's basically following what he's doing. So yeah, it's going to be really exciting. And I'm going to tip him that he will finish in the top 10 of the championship in his first year. And maybe get the odd podium now and again. I don't think he's going to win in his first year. I think that's a bit too much to ask.
What have you got against him? Why won't he win?
I think we could see him on the podium next season.
Okay. Lewis, your thoughts?
Yeah, well, great move. The biggest talent, I think it's fair to say, the most exciting talent that we've had come into MotoGP in the past couple of seasons. I mean, even since he came into the championship and he, for example, won the race from pit lane in Moto3 in his rookie year, that's when everyone properly started talking about him. And yeah, he's just been always on the radar. I remember even after that first Moto3 season where he took the title, everyone was calling him the next Marc Marquez already. I think that, to be honest, did give him quite a lot of pressure to try and live up to. But second year in Moto2, and it looks like he is going to take the title this season. So what a way to do it on the KTM IO machine. So yeah, hopefully we can see him do that. And of course, Marquez, doing as Jay said, doing almost like Marc Marquez did. He won Moto2 in his first season after he had to miss the final couple of rounds of the championship. But yeah, I'm really excited to see how he gets on. I'm not going to put too many bold predictions at the moment for if he's going to get podiums or race wins as of yet. I happily will after the test, but I don't know. I feel like he might need another season to get a podium. I don't know. But I will agree definitely that he is one of the biggest talents that we have coming through the ranks at the moment, and definitely there's no one better I would want to see step up from Moto2 into MotoGP. There's no one else that deserves it anymore. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how he gets on. Okay,
we've come to the end of the show, but before we end the show and the end of the BSB season, I am going to ask you both to give us your predictions. Who's going to win the 2023 Bennett's British Superbike Championship? Lewis.
Oh, I was hoping Jay, you sure you don't want to go first?
No, I'll go first. My head says Tommy, my heart says Glenn, and I'm going to go with my heart, and I'm going to say Glenn.
Lewis?
Yeah, well, I've got conflicting options here because obviously Bridewell, Irwin, and then that's easy said and done. Bridewell extremely strong at Brands Hatch in the past. Glenn Irwin, he's looked better in more recent times. I'm also going to go Glenn Irwin, but I do believe it's not going to be the end of the PPM drama. I'll be surprised if there's not an argument or a fight by the end of the weekend.
Well, there's already been some already in the previous 2 rounds, so yeah. Interesting. Yeah, and I'm going to say, only because I think he might have the mental edge in that he can probably keep his cool more than his teammate when things get really hot in that garage and on track. Plus, he's a nice guy anyway. They're both, I suppose, nice guys. Glenn Irwin.
So have we all agreed?
Yeah, we'll agree. I think in the what shall we say, the heat of battle, Glenn seems to be able, even if he's not the fastest on track, he seems to be able to ride really good races, especially when he gets to the front. He can hold people off extremely well. So, yeah, I think maybe if he's not even the fastest over the weekend, Glenn, I think, can handle that pressure a bit better, where it seems to be that Tommy can get a bit flustered.
Yeah, Tommy's had a few penalties in the past few rounds, and that has affected things. But luckily for us fans, it's down to just a handful of points, less than a handful of points. It could still be Kyle Ryde or Leon Haslam or even an outsider who aren't any of the top four. Wow, it's going to be good to watch. Whatever happens, I really wish everyone stays safe and we have a nice, clean 3 races. And I'm going to need my calculator because I keep forgetting that it's 35 points for a win, isn't it? Is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. 105 points up for grabs.
Ooh. So, yeah. We'll be back this time next week to digest some of the fallout of it. We may need a good 4-hour show to do so. But anyway. Jay, best of luck this weekend at Brands. Take loads of pictures and videos and, behind the scenes gossip. I'm sure you will do of who's going where.
I'll be behind the garages.
Yeah. And maybe try and find out who's actually going on a sport bike. I think we've only got one person confirmed. And no one else will say anything about anything. We might just have one bike on the grid.
No, we got 2.
Sorry.
We got 2.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
And John.
But yeah, anyway. So we've got a lot to discover. I guess you'll be watching it on TV the weekend. Have fun whatever you're doing, wherever you are.
Yeah, and waking up early from MotoGP.
Oh, yeah, that as well, which is on... Yeah, I can watch that as well. That'll be good. And, stay tuned to Motorsport Radio. All weekend, we'll have reviews and everything like that, and Lewis might pop out an article online of his views and opinions and stuff like that if he's awake. And, we'll be back here next Tuesday, live from 8 p.m. on another Superbike show here on Motorsport Radio. That's it for now. Thank you very much for tuning in. Bye!
This is Motorsport Radio.
1, 2.
Join the conversation. Contact the show on Twitter, on Facebook, and on our website, Motorsport Radio.